Oh, Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Yes. Oh, look at him. That is.
Jerusalem, a city of stark contrast, where beauty and sorrow coexist in perfect harmony. If the world possesses 10 parts of beauty, then Jerusalem proudly claims 9. It shines like a brilliant gem amidst the barren desert, with the golden dome of the rock, the ancient Western Wall, and the age-old stone streets exuding timeless charm. Yet, Jerusalem is also a city that bears 9 parts of the world's suffering. Every stone and every alley is soaked in the tears and blood of conflicts that have spanned centuries. Everyone desires to possess Jerusalem, but few can truly understand its deep-seated pain. It is also a center of wisdom, where 9 parts of the world's knowledge have found a home. Prophets, priests, scholars, and philosophers have all left their mark on this sacred city, from profound religious beliefs to grand societal ideals. Jerusalem has nurtured the depth of human thought, but fortune has not always been kind to it. For the city also holds 9 parts of the world's evil, where hatred, division, and dark schemes are never in short supply. The evil here is not just in individuals or groups, it's woven into a history of turmoil and unending disputes. Jerusalem, with its unique blend of glory and grief, wisdom and wickedness, has become a symbol of hope and redemption, yet remains scarred by wounds that never seem to heal. It is a city where the sacred and the sinister intertwine, creating a place as complex as it is captivating. Jerusalem's history is also the history of the world. This statement not only piques curiosity, but also opens the door to a journey through the most dramatic chapters of humanity's past. The battles of Jerusalem are not merely regional conflicts. They mirror the global struggles of faith, politics, power, and survival. It is a place where the currents of history converge, where every stone tells a story of thousands of years, and where tears and blood have soaked into the ground, creating a symphony of both sorrow and hope. There have been times when it seemed that everything was falling apart. Darkness engulfed the city, and cries echoed through its ancient alleys, as if hope itself had abandoned this land. Enemies attacked relentlessly, threatening the very survival of the people, pushing Jerusalem to the brink. It was a place where despair seemed inevitable. But there is something extraordinary about Jerusalem. It never truly falls. At the peak of suffering and uncertainty, just when everything seems lost, something supernatural happens, something beyond human comprehension. Imagine a moment when God, the creator of the universe, directly intervenes in the flow of history. What would happen when his infinite power descends unexpectedly upon a place that has been consumed by despair? It is a moment when the destiny of a nation is rewritten, a moment when divine power changes the course of events. Stories of divine intervention are not just ancient tales from the Bible. They are living testimonies of the power of faith, of humanity's ability to overcome the impossible when strengthened by God. For centuries, Jerusalem has been the stage for miraculous events. Battles that seemed unwinnable have turned into astounding victories. There have been times when hostile forces united with a single goal: to destroy Israel. But in the midst of darkness and hatred, a sudden divine light emerges. Enemies fall into confusion, their strategies collapse, and the people are miraculously saved. These are the moments when faith is not just an abstract belief, but a force capable of shifting the course of history. God has chosen to stand with his people, to fight alongside them. This is not merely a military victory, but a powerful demonstration of his loyalty to his people. When he decides to act, no enemy is strong enough to resist, and no plan is flawless enough to defeat his will. This is the mysterious strength of Jerusalem, where the impossible can become reality in the blink of an eye. Jerusalem is not just a place of physical battles, it is also a battleground of the spirit. It is where faith is tested, courage is sharpened, and patience becomes essential. Every step taken on its ancient stone streets is like walking through the long chapters of human history. Each stone, each wall, bears witness to the most glorious and tragic moments of mankind. But Jerusalem is not only a story of the past, it is also a promise of the future. Amidst conflicts and divisions, there remains a steadfast hope that God will continue to intervene in the lives of His people. Miracles still happen in modern struggles, where even the mightiest armies must bow before His infinite power. Let Jerusalem be the testimony of the power of faith. Despite facing the harshest challenges, this city stands firm as an everlasting symbol of hope and belief. Is there any other city in the world that holds as many miraculous stories as this one? Jerusalem, with its ups and downs, continues to be an unending source of inspiration for those who believe in the power of miracles and the strength of faith. We encourage you to like this video so that the YouTube algorithm can recommend it to more people, allowing others to benefit from the knowledge of God's Word. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take this opportunity to do so. It's completely free. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming content we'll be sharing to strengthen your faith. In Deuteronomy 33:29, the Bible declares, "Blessed are you, Israel. Who is like you, a people saved by the Lord? He is your shield and helper and your glorious sword. Your enemies will cower before you, and you will tread on their heights." This verse is a powerful reminder of God's special protection over His people. He is not just a shield against their enemies, but also a mighty sword, ready to destroy any danger that threatens them. Psalm 121, 4-5, further emphasizes God's unwavering faithfulness. "Indeed, He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night." These words offer comfort to all who put their trust in Him. God never becomes weary or distracted. He is always present, guarding His people against dangers, both day and night. The Bible continues, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore." God's protection is not limited to a single moment or circumstance. It extends from the past into the present and well into the future. He watches over every step and every breath of those who trust Him, allowing no harm to befall them. During the darkest times when fear and despair seem overwhelming, all that remains is a fragile hope that God will not forget His people. Even when everything seems to be crumbling and enemy forces appear stronger than ever, the Lord still stands by His people. He is not just a comforting presence, but a warrior who rises to defend them. In battles that seem lost, God emerges as a mighty champion, shattering hostile alliances formed to destroy Israel. The moment God intervenes in the battle is also the moment when heavenly power is revealed. The heavens open, and the unstoppable force of the Lord descends, making it impossible for any enemy to prevail. This is undeniable proof that God is the only one capable of transforming seemingly hopeless situations. Even when life is full of challenges and trials, God's promises remain a steady source of hope and strength. He has always protected His people with boundless mercy and unlimited power, helping them overcome the most dangerous circumstances. This not only affirms God's presence and protection in the past, but also serves as a promise to every future generation. In any battle, whether physical or spiritual, we can be assured that God stands with those who trust in Him, bringing deliverance and victory beyond imagination. I come before you, Lord, with a heart full of gratitude, for you are my never-ending source of hope and my solid strength in all circumstances. I thank you for always being with me, guiding and protecting me, even in my weakest moments. I know that while this world may change, your faithfulness never wavers. You are the one who never slumbers or grows weary. You watch over me every moment, and in your loving embrace, I find peace. Lord, I ask that you continue to be the guiding light in my life, especially in moments of darkness and uncertainty. When I feel weak, please grant me strength. When I am confused or afraid, give me the courage to move forward. I know that no matter what I face, you are my guide, my refuge, and my comfort. Almighty God, I pray that you grant me a steadfast heart and an unshakable faith. Fill my soul with the hope that comes from you, a hope that endures through every trial. Help me not to rely solely on my own strength, but to fully trust in your power and grace. I ask that you bless my family, friends, and loved ones. Grant them peace and hope, and help them understand that even in times of hardship or chaos, you are always present, protecting and leading them. Lord, I pray for the patience to wait for your perfect timing, knowing that everything you do is good and right. Help me place my complete trust in you, for I know that in you I have everything I need. God has spoken clearly and unconditionally. He will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. This is not a conditional promise. It carries the weight of an unchanging oath. Regardless of Israel's obedience, God's promise remains steadfast. It's like an eternal flame that burns brightly, undiminished by time or adversity. Remember the story of King Saul and David. Saul relentlessly sought to kill David, and you might think David would pray for Saul's death to secure his own survival. But what actually happened? David had the opportunity to kill Saul not once, but twice, yet he chose not to. Why? Because David understood a shocking truth. The one anointed by God cannot be harmed, even if they have sinned against him. David knew that God's power does not depend on human obedience. He does not change his mind. This principle is vital when speaking of Israel. God's promise to this nation endures from ancient times to the present day, and it will remain until the end of this world. Reflect on humanity's darkest history, where the Nazis attempted to exterminate the Jews. They created death camps and devised the most brutal plans to erase an entire people. But there was one thing they could not comprehend. They were battling an undefeatable force: God's divine protection. The Nazis inflicted immense suffering, but they could not annihilate the Jewish people. Why? Because God always preserves a remnant for himself, even when he allows judgment to fall upon Israel. He never lets his people vanish entirely, whether in wrath or punishment. This is also a severe warning to the Muslim nations seeking Israel's destruction. They are not just fighting against a nation, they are challenging the creator of the universe. Their mission is impossible, for Israel does not stand alone on the battlefield. God promised to re-establish Israel as a nation, and this was dramatically fulfilled before the eyes of the world in 1948. This was not just a rebirth of a nation, it was the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. Any human effort to destroy Israel is destined to fail, for God has decreed that this land belongs to Israel. Do the Palestinians understand this? If they read the Bible, they would realize that the land title they dispute was granted to Israel thousands of years ago. This is not an invasion, but an affirmation of Israel's legitimate ownership. Israel is not seeking endless expansion. They merely want to reclaim what rightfully belongs to them, the land granted by God. This is why every alliance, no matter how powerful, formed to oppose Israel, is bound to face defeat. God's promise to Israel is not just a mere protection. It is the overwhelming force of his will. Every enemy of Israel, whether a mighty army or a complex coalition, must retreat before God's power. This is not merely a political or military conflict. It is a battle between humanity and the Almighty. And in this battle, victory has already been secured. Israel will stand firm, not because of its own strength, but because of God's unwavering promise. Remember, when the world turns against Israel, they are not only challenging a nation, they are challenging God himself. His promise never fails, and he continues to defend Israel with all his might and resolve. Any force that dares to oppose his people will face judgment, for no one can stand against God's plan without experiencing defeat. Israel is a living testament to God's faithfulness and power, a proof that he never abandons his people. Let us return to the tumultuous and violent history of the Jewish people, where wars and conflicts have not merely been brief chapters, but defining marks throughout thousands of years. From the very beginning, ancient scriptures recorded God's promise that Israel was his chosen people, given their name by God himself, and granted a promised land, a region flowing with milk and honey. It is for this reason that the people of Israel are often referred to as the children of the Bible, for the Bible contains the entire history of Israel. The history of Israel is a long tale of ups and downs, marked by moments of glory and periods drenched in blood and tears. Israel has faced countless brutal wars and attacks, more than any other nation, carving a tragic narrative into the annals of humanity. Anti-Semitism became a global phenomenon and remains a reality even today, serving as a constant reminder of the long-standing discrimination and hatred against this people. Over the past 2,000 years, Jews have been expelled from over 80 different countries, making them one of the most displaced and exiled peoples in human history. What makes the Jewish people truly distinct is not just their historical origins or ethnicity, but their unique religious beliefs. Judaism, a monotheistic faith in a single, sovereign God, is one of the oldest religions in the world, with a history spanning over 3,000 years. When the monotheistic faith of the Jews clashed with the polytheistic beliefs of the ancient pagan world, it made them appear odd and peculiar. This perception became the root cause of their persecution, leading to hostility and repeated attempts at extermination throughout history. Israel's official recognition as a nation, bearing the name Israel, is rooted in a covenant with God. He promised Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, that he would give his descendants the land of Canaan, the promised land. This covenant is recorded in the scriptures. I am the Almighty God, and I establish my covenant with you. You shall be the father of many nations, and to mark this covenant, your name shall be changed to Abraham, meaning father of many nations. I will fulfill this promise, and the land of Canaan will belong to you and your descendants forever, and I will be their God. This divine covenant laid the foundation for the creation of Israel and explains why the Jewish people are called God's chosen people, though this status has also come with great suffering. Twice the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, bringing Israel to the brink of annihilation. The first destruction occurred in 586 BC, when the Babylonians, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, invaded and destroyed the first temple, killing thousands of Jews, enslaving many, and initiating a dark period of exile. The second destruction took place in 70 AD when the Romans, under General Titus, razed the Second Temple, resulting in tens of thousands of Jews being massacred or enslaved, pushing the Jewish people into a 2,000-year-long diaspora. During the Middle Ages, the plight of the Jews in Europe was equally devastating. When Pope Innocent II launched the Crusades in 1096, Jewish communities throughout Europe were ruthlessly attacked. The massacres were so severe that, by the end of the Crusades, Jewish populations had been almost entirely wiped out along the Atlantic coast. By the late 15th century, the global Jewish population had fallen to its lowest point as they were systematically expelled from nearly every European country. In the 18th and 19th centuries, religiously motivated anti-Semitism was replaced by racial discrimination. Hitler and Nazi Germany elevated anti-Semitism to a new level, driven by the belief that the Aryan race was superior. They could not tolerate the existence of a people they perceived as God's chosen, a people renowned for their intelligence and wisdom. This ideology led to the Holocaust, the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews in Nazi death camps. The most tragic aspect of the Holocaust was that the Jewish victims could not comprehend why they were being targeted. They were innocent and had committed no crime, yet faced extermination simply for being Jewish. The bloody history of Israel encompasses the pain, suffering, and anguish experienced by many other nations combined, but the unwavering faith of the Jewish people in God has remained intact. Despite thousands of years of wandering, exile, and persecution, the Jewish people have held fast to their belief that God remains with them. This belief is not just an abstract hope, but a tangible force that has enabled them to survive and thrive. In 1948, when Israel was officially reestablished as an independent nation, it was not only a political event, but also the fulfillment of God's promise. Despite facing continuous attacks from neighboring nations and hostility from around the world, Israel has stood firm, embodying the strength of faith and the resilience of a people chosen by God. If we can't fully imagine the horrific persecution and suffering endured by the people of Israel, then those who sought to oppress them were likely even more bewildered. Despite all the brutal attempts to crush them, the Jews never submitted. The forces that tried to annihilate Judaism could never comprehend why the Jewish people refused to abandon their faith, even when the cost of their defiance was the death of nearly half their population. Their faith in God remained silent, steadfast, and unyielding, something even the most terrifying furnaces of Hitler could not burn away. Their enduring belief in God is an astonishing testament to their resilience. Hitler's ruthless machinery of destruction could break their bodies, but it could not destroy their spirit. It was this quiet, unbreakable faith that carried the Jewish people through unimaginable hardships. The fulfillment of ancient promises to Israel serves as proof of God's unwavering faithfulness to his chosen people. Throughout their bloody and tear-filled journey, these promises remained a living reality that guided and sustained them through the darkest times. When we reflect on the history of the Jewish people and the nation of Israel, we see one undeniable truth. God is always at work, even when we cannot see him. He is the mighty warrior who stands beside his people, delivering them in their most desperate moments. This resilience is what has shaped the Jewish people into a nation that has not only survived, but thrived in the face of overwhelming odds. The words of a Jewish man, scrawled on the wall of a hiding place during Nazi persecution, reflect this unwavering belief. I believe in the sun, even when it is not shining. I believe in love, even when I do not feel it. I believe in God, even when he is silent. These words encapsulate a faith that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how dire the circumstances. It is a powerful testament that God remains present, even in the most silent and darkest moments. The story of the Jewish people is a potent reminder for us to trust in God even more. Just as he intervened in the past, he continues to work in our lives today. His mighty hand, which guided and protected Israel throughout ancient times, still operates with the same power now. God is not only a protector, but an infallible guardian of his people. When everything seems to be falling apart, when enemies appear unbeatable and the odds are stacked against them, it is often in these very moments that God reveals himself in surprising ways. He demonstrates that nothing is impossible for him. His protection never fails and his grace remains, even in the most challenging and testing situations. Throughout history, God's power has shown itself again and again. He has intervened in seemingly hopeless situations, bringing about unexpected outcomes. He did this for the people of Israel in the past, and he still does the same for those who trust in him today. His faithfulness is not just a promise in the scriptures, but a living reality for all who place their faith in him. The history of the Jewish people and the nation of Israel is not only a story of survival, but a testament to God's faithfulness. As we look back at the past and the trials they endured, we can see that no matter how difficult the path, God is still leading and protecting those who trust in him. This steadfastness has enabled the people of Israel to overcome the harshest trials of history, and it serves as a lesson for us to always place our trust in God, for his power and love never diminish. History has witnessed countless interventions by God, but there are moments when even the mightiest nations have been stunned by the unexpected manifestation of divine power. One of the most recent events that shook global politics was when the United States, the world's strongest superpower with advanced military and intelligence capabilities, could not foresee what was about to happen. What began as just another chapter in the long and complex conflict in the Middle East, a familiar scenario to many, suddenly took an unexpected turn. Tensions, which seemed to follow a familiar pattern, escalated rapidly in unpredictable ways. Even the White House, with its extensive intelligence network and strategic planning, was caught off guard by the unfolding events. What appeared to be a routine confrontation quickly transformed into a global revelation about Israel's strength and resilience. Imagine yourself as the leader of a small nation surrounded by enemies, facing threats from every side. International media constantly criticize your actions, and global public opinion seems overwhelmingly against you. Every decision is under scrutiny, every statement is judged, and you are under extreme pressure. In such a situation, the weight is immense, and the odds appear daunting. Yet in the midst of it all, there is an unwavering faith that becomes a powerful source of motivation. This enduring faith is what drives the leaders of Israel to stand firm and confront the world's media, declaring that the small nation of Israel will never be crushed by any other nation. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made headlines globally with statements that reflect not just political defiance, but also deep spiritual conviction. He boldly proclaimed that no barrage of rockets could break the spirit of the Israeli people or damage the land they fiercely protect. Netanyahu's speeches have been marked by a sense of profound confidence that is rooted not merely in Israel's military capabilities, but in a higher source, faith in God. This belief in divine protection is the core motivation behind the Prime Minister's powerful words. Words that not only resonate with his people, but also challenge the world to recognize Israel's unbreakable spirit. For Israel, the belief in God's protection is not just a comforting idea. It is a source of strength that empowers them to face overwhelming odds. Netanyahu's declarations to the world are not just statements of national determination, but affirmations of faith. When he asserts that Israel will never be defeated, he is not just making a political promise, he is reiterating an ancient truth, one that is rooted in the belief that God is actively present, even in the most challenging moments. The people of Israel have always understood that true strength lies not only in military might or advanced technology, but in the assurance that God stands by their side. Throughout history, they have faced empires, invasions, and attacks, yet they have always persevered. This is because their faith is not simply a matter of tradition. It is a guiding force that sustains them through even the most severe trials. Netanyahu often emphasizes that Israel is not just any nation, but a symbol of resilience and unwavering belief in divine protection. In the darkest times, Israelis hold on to the belief that God will not abandon them. This conviction inspires their strategic decisions and fuels their determination to defend their land and people, knowing that God's hand guides them through every battle. This steadfast faith has enabled Israel not only to survive, but to emerge as a nation of significant influence on the world stage, despite external pressures and regional instability. Netanyahu's bold speeches are not just a declaration of Israel's strength, but a reminder that God is still at work in the lives of his people, regardless of global opinions or actions. Israel's story is not just one of survival, but a living testimony to God's constant presence and protection. Netanyahu's words and Israel's actions are not only about defending territory, they serve to demonstrate that faith in God can overcome any challenge, no matter how formidable. The nation's resilience and defiance are rooted in the belief that God remains present and protective, just as he was in the days of old. This faith has allowed Israel to withstand numerous attacks, from ancient empires to modern conflicts. No matter how powerful their adversaries or how grim the circumstances, the people of Israel hold on to the certainty that God is with them. Netanyahu's speeches in Israel's survival reflect not only a political struggle, but also the enduring presence of God. This conviction empowers them to face the challenges ahead, for they believe that their destiny is not dictated by human might, but by God's promise, a promise that remains alive and active in their midst. When Israel's enemies tirelessly plan alliances with the intent to destroy the nation, they fail to realize that they are not merely facing the people of Israel, they are facing God himself. The enemy's missile attacks have not been able to touch the small but resilient people of Israel. Part of this is due to the advanced Iron Dome defense system, but much of it is attributed to a supernatural force that even the Israeli people find astonishing. There have been airstrikes involving dozens of tons of explosives directed at densely populated areas, only to suddenly veer off course and plunge into the sea, sparing civilian lives. These miraculous occurrences reaffirm the belief that God is always beside Israel, providing protection in its most perilous moments. This recent series of events echoes the promise found in Amos 9:14. I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel. They shall rebuild the ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine. They shall make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant them upon their land, and they shall never again be uprooted from the land that I have given them, says the Lord your God. This promise is not just words on paper. It has been manifested in reality, particularly in recent events that the world has watched with skepticism. Despite facing intense and systematic attacks, Israel has stood firm, aided by divine power and protection. This strength has not only helped Israel defend itself, but has also allowed it to surpass all expectations, defeating its enemies with remarkable precision. This victory is not merely one of military strategy, but is a clear testament to God's intervention in the battle. Just as God has fought for Israel, he also fights for us. He not only brings victory to his people, but also grants us the strength to confront seemingly insurmountable challenges in our own lives. Faith in God can transform the greatest obstacles into opportunities to display his power and love. Whether it is inner battles, work-related difficulties, or tense relationships, we can overcome when we place our trust in God. This reminds us that nothing is impossible with God. What seems unachievable can become possible when God intervenes. He not only helps us overcome major challenges, but also turns difficult moments into opportunities to demonstrate His unwavering faithfulness and love. This is why, no matter what challenges you are facing today, remember that with God, the impossible becomes possible. The story of God's protection over Israel serves as a powerful reminder to us all that God is present in the most challenging times. He is not only the Almighty in theory, but the Almighty in action, constantly working for the good of those who trust Him. He has intervened for Israel in the past and will continue to do so in the future. Likewise, He will not abandon those who place their full trust in Him. So when you face the challenges of life, remember that you are not battling alone. God is beside you, fighting with you and guiding you through every difficulty. What seems impossible can become possible through His intervention. He has done this for Israel, and He will do it for us today and forever. Despite God's power being clearly and undeniably manifested in Israel time and time again, the world seems to remain engulfed in skepticism. Miracles unfold before everyone's eyes, from missile attacks that are miraculously diverted to moments of unexpected victory when Israel, a small nation surrounded by hostility, stands firm and overcomes every challenge. Yet instead of acknowledging God's hand at work, the world chooses doubt, criticism, and disbelief. Perhaps it's because people are more inclined to trust what they can see, while the supernatural is often dismissed as mere myth. Or perhaps it's human pride, an unwillingness to accept that there is a higher power at work, one they cannot control or fully understand. But regardless of the reason, the truth remains unchanged. God is actively working in Israel. He is not only protecting, but also restoring and strengthening this nation, fulfilling promises made thousands of years ago. What has transpired in Israel is not merely a matter of military or diplomatic success. It is a clear testament to God's power and faithfulness. It is a call for the world to open its eyes and witness what is truly happening, a divine restoration and intervention that cannot be denied. So what will you choose? Will you choose to believe only in what is visible, or will you open your heart to feel the invisible presence and power of God? Let the miracles in Israel inspire your faith, because God's power is not limited to one nation. It is available to all who place their trust in Him. Even if the world refuses to believe, God continues to act, bringing miracles every day. The question is not whether He is working, but whether we are willing to believe.